And then there were two. A race that started with 10 candidates on the ballot between the two parties narrows down in focus. Democrat Kirsten Sinema.
Our campaign in the primary was focused very much on listening to the voters and talking about what they need: jobs, financial security, strong future. And this general election is the same.
Will take on Republican Vernon Parker.
This is not about Vernon Parker. This is about all of these people who care about the future of this country. We will fight to win, and fight to win for future generations.
And after November, one of them will be Arizona's newest voice in Washington. Tonight, a new district, familiar faces, and Arizona politics unplugged. Good evening, I'm Dennis Welch, and this is Politics Unplugged. With a new district and newly drawn lines, Arizona's District 9 is up for grabs. Stretching from Central Phoenix to the East Valley, it includes areas that have sent both Ben Quayle and Harry Mitchell to Congress in the past. But what will it look like now? It's a question that puts tonight's guests in the arena. And those guests are Kirsten Sinema, a Democratic nominee for Congress, and Vernon Parker, the Republican nominee. Just days after the primary election, we are giving the candidates each a chance to separately talk about their positions, but we do hope they will join us later for a more formal discussion. With that said, Mr. Parker, thanks for joining us, and welcome. Congratulations.
Thanks for having me, and you are 100% correct. It is up for grabs, and I'm grabbing it. I'm taking it all the way to Washington.
I was kind of interested. You've run a lot of races in the past few years. You finally got through the primary. What was that feeling like on election night?
I wouldn't say that I've run a lot of races because, you know, people, they say this, but I challenge you to find 3 races that I have not been on I challenge you to find anything other than 3 races. Mm-hmm. I've run for the Paradise Valley Town Council, I've run for Congress on the ballot, and I've sought re-election for the Paradise Valley Town Council. So this myth that I'm continually running for things is totally wrong. I can guarantee you that my opponent has run for much more than I am.
You have run for Congress. This is the second time, and you've run for governor once.
No, I was actually in the exploratory committee for governor, and my name never appeared on the ballot. So I did not actually enter into the starting blocks there.
Okay. Well said. Let's get down to this race and what's coming up next. And one of the issues I think that everybody's been talking about, particularly now after this Republican convention, let's talk about some budget issues for Republicans out there, particularly the Ryan budget. Wanted to know where you stood on that and whether you support some of the issues, some of the elements or all the elements that are contained in that document.
Well, some of them, and I can tell you this. I will go through them, but I can be very certain about this, is that I don't support the entire plan, but there are some very good parts of it that I do support, and I will support when I get to Congress. The one thing that is really important to me is the corporate income tax structure that we have. We are the highest corporate income tax in the world, and right now we are not competitive. We're not competitive because we have a 39% corporate income tax structure, and we need to create more jobs. The way we handle the deficit, the way we handle the shortfall is to have more people working, more people employed. We have to jobs, jobs, jobs. That's the mantra.
So you don't necessarily support all the parts of the Ryan plan.
Exactly.
Be specific. Give me a couple of elements that like you look at and say maybe that's not right for this district. That's not right for the country.
Well, the biggest thing that I do support, and I'll tell you this, is that we have to take a look at entitlements. We have to make sure that for future generations that we do look at the entitlement structure, because it is not currently, it's not working. And so there are some aspects of that I do agree with. There are a lot of other aspects that I don't. So
sure. Like what? Just specifics. Like what aspects don't you disagree on?
Well, we need to take a look at. We must make sure that the first thing that we do is that we have to maintain and we have to honor the contract that we have had with seniors. I am not going to cut Social Security. I'm sure that the Democrats are going to say that, you know, Vernon Parker is going to be out there cutting Social Security, and then as far as Medicare is concerned, Vernon Parker is out there pushing Granny over the cliff. No, we have to honor the aspects with, you know, those 2 aspects in particular with our seniors. And my opponent, quite frankly. She was one of the architects of Obamacare, and Obamacare specifically is cutting over $700 billion from Medicare, and so I will make sure that we honor the contract that we have with our seniors.
Okay, and let's move on. Let's talk a little bit more specific about the needs of your district. Lots of politicians they like to talk about what they might cut, what's, these big broad themes and stuff. Specifically, what are you going to bring back to your district? What does your district need from its congressman? Jobs.
I can tell you this over and over. I have gone door to door. I have knocked on doors, and people, they tell me all the time, they say, I lost my job. I have held so many people. There's one woman I will never forget. It looked like she was having a garage sale, and I said, oh, what's going on? You haven't, and she said, I've been in this home for 35 years, and I'm losing it. And all I could do was to just hold her and say to her that, I promise you, when I get to Congress, that I will do all that I can to make sure that we have jobs.
But how does a congressman create a job? Give me an example.
Congressmen do not, look, it is not the role of government to create jobs, but the role of government is to make sure that America is competitive. Right now, America is not competitive. We have the highest corporate income tax in the world, Dennis, and we have regulations that are out of control. And investors, they invest in certainty. And so right now, America, it is uncertain whether this is a fertile ground to have corporations here. So if we reduce the corporate income tax and if we address the regulatory structure that we have, I firmly believe that we can bring jobs back to America, not just back to America, but back to CD9. Okay. And people, it's all about jobs.
Now, you've been critical of your opponent a little bit here already, and let's get down to brass tacks here. So let's talk about some issues I know probably you don't want to talk about, but certainly your opponents.
I'm here to talk about it.
All right, your opponents are probably going to bring this up. Let's talk about your small business, your consulting business. It was under investigation by the feds, who alleged that you lied to secure a $2.1 million contract. Explain to our viewers out there what that was all about and where it's at right now.
It was a politically motivated charge, and what happened is Paul Charlton, for example. You know who Paul Charlton is, right? He was a former United States attorney for the state of Arizona. He worked for me, and he said, Vernon, in 17 years of being a federal prosecutor, I've never seen anything happen to you like what did. And these are, I've kind of figured that would come up because I'm prepared.
You're prepared.
Absolutely. When I get to Congress, I'll be prepared too. But these are Paul Charlton's words. He said, and he wrote this to someone in a political race who tried to use this against me. He said that we proved the falsity of the allegation through sworn affidavits. The SBA itself came to the determination that the falsities that lie within of the IG report on why that is why we were suing the federal government. And you know what? I'm suing the federal government, and I don't expect to get one penny from them. But the reason why I am suing is because if they can do to me, to the rest of the citizens in this country, I levied my entire life. I put everything out there to fight because I said to myself, if they do this to me, they'll do it to someone else. And right now we're in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, but I don't expect to get anything from them. But the one thing that I will tell you is this: the day that the federal government manufactures evidence against one of its own citizens, and we're supposed to just sit there, absolutely not. So I am fighting them. And it's just not for me, it is for the people of this country, because I don't want to have happen to me what happened.
Okay, now let's talk a little bit about your house right now in Paradise Valley. Was recently put in foreclosure.
Well, it was not in foreclosure. Well, I will tell you this. Okay, you go ahead.
I was going to say, like, how does this person who posits himself as a successful businessman let his house come to the brink or foreclosure?
My house was, first of all, the house was never in foreclosure. What happened was that I was trying to get a private sector loan modification. I brought my payments current. But the one thing that I did learn is this, because when they aired the story that Vernon Parker's home is in foreclosure, I talked to people, and I'll never forget one morning, volunteers showed up to go door to door with me. And it was the same day that this story broke, and 3 people in the room, I talked to them about it, and they said, look, I just lost my house. I just lost my house.
Did you miss payments? Did you miss house payments?
Did I miss house payments?
Did you miss house payments?
Yes, I missed house payments, but I brought my house payments current.
Okay, and why did you miss your house payments?
Well, it's unfortunate, but
I believe your campaign spokesman said earlier that you missed campaign.
It is unfortunate, but the banks won't talk to you unless you miss a payment.
Okay,
that's the unfortunate part.
So you
about
intentionally miss payments to negotiate with the bank?
I wouldn't say I intentionally miss payments to negotiate with the bank. No, what they told me is that you are eligible for a loan modification, a private sector one. But the bottom line is this, regardless, we have had 3 million people in this that have lost their homes, and I feel for them. When I went door to door, again, so many people, they said that they have lost their homes, and I feel their pain. I am one of them, and I know when I get to Congress that I've experienced and I've gone through some of the same things, Dennis.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming here, and thanks for your time. We hope you'll come back and join us for maybe a more formal discussion with your opponent.